Hey guys, it's your girl, back at it again with another spooky video. This time we're diving headfirst into the terrifying world of Ouija boards. You know that game your mom warned you about? Turns out she might have been onto something. We're talking about 13 rules you should never ever break if you decide to dabble with the spirit world. Trust me, you don't want to be the one who angers the ghost of like a grumpy old cat lady. Imagine the hissing. So buckle up, grab your salt circles and sage bundles because things are about to get creepy. And maybe just a little bit hilarious because, well, it's me. Don't act like you don't laugh when I get scared. Alright, first up on our list of ways to avoid turning your next slumber party into a scene from Paranormal Activity, never ever use a Ouija board alone. Like, ever. Think about it. You're basically opening up a portal to the spirit world and inviting whatever's lurking on the other side to chat. And you're all by yourself. No witnesses, no backup, no one to perform a seance on you if things go south. Plus, spirits, like that weird ex who won't stop texting, can smell desperation. They're drawn to vulnerability like moths to a porch light, only instead of burning themselves, they'll probably try to steal your soul or something. So do yourself a favor, grab a friend or 5. There's safety in numbers, people. Alright, rule number 2 is probably a no-brainer, but apparently some people need to hear it. Don't use a Ouija board in a cemetery. Like, duh, it's literally a graveyard. You know, where dead people hang out. Do you really want to invite a bunch of restless spirits to your little seance? Imagine the queue. It'd be like trying to get into a club on a Saturday night. Only instead of a bouncer, you have a grumpy gatekeeper of the underworld. Plus, cemeteries are already creepy enough without the added bonus of potentially summoning a demonic entity. Seriously, who needs that kind of negativity in their life? Look, I'm all for a good ghost hunt, but even I have my limits. And using a Ouija board in a place where people are literally buried 6 feet under? That's just disrespectful. It's like setting up a picnic basket on someone's grave and blasting death metal. Like, have some manners, you know? Plus, you never know who's haunting that particular cemetery. It could be a bunch of chill grandmas who just want to gossip about the afterlife. Or it could be a vengeful spirit who's not too happy about being disturbed. And trust me, you don't want to be on the receiving end of a ghost's bad side. Okay, so you've got your Ouija board, you're feeling brave, you're ready to chat with some ghosts. But hold up! Before you start asking about your love life or what your dead hamster is up to, let's talk about some topics that are seriously off limits, like big-time no-nos. Rule number 3 is all about avoiding the big 3 God, angels, and death. It's like bringing up your ex on a first date. Awkward and probably gonna end badly. Think about it. You're messing with forces you don't understand, right? Like, who knows what kind of cosmic drama you could stir up by asking about the afterlife or trying to summon your guardian angel. And don't even get me started on the whole asking about death thing. First of all, rude. Second of all, you're basically waving a giant glowing sign that says, "Hey death, come get me. Trust me, you do not want to be the one who tempts fate." It's like wearing a meat suit in a shark tank. Just not a good idea. Alright, so we've established that Ouija boards are not toys, and we need to be respectful when we're using them. But what does that actually mean? Like, are we supposed to curtsy to the planchette or something? Well, no, but basic manners go a long way, even in the spirit world. Rule number 4 is simple. Don't be a jerk to the board or the spirits. I mean, would you walk into someone's house and start insulting their furniture? Hopefully not. It's the same deal with Ouija boards. Don't go around mocking the messages you get, laughing at the spirits, or daring them to do things. It's just rude. Remember, you're basically inviting these spirits into your space, so you want to make them feel welcome, or at least not want to curse you for all eternity. Think of it like this. You know those people who are rude to waiters? Don't be that person, but for ghosts. Okay, so maybe you're not worried about being rude. You're too cool for school, right? Well, here's the thing. Disrespecting the board or the spirits isn't just about being polite, it's about staying safe. Remember those not-so-friendly spirits we talked about earlier? The ones who are just itching for an excuse to wreak havoc? Well, being disrespectful is like giving them a VIP pass to your life. You're basically saying, hey, come on in, make yourself at home, and feel free to possess me while you're at it. And trust me, you do not want to deal with a pissed-off ghost. They can do all sorts of crazy stuff, like moving objects, making weird noises, or even hurting you. It's like that scene in Paranormal Activity where the demon drags the girl out of bed. Yeah, not cute. So bottom line, be nice, be respectful, and maybe offer the spirits a snack. You know, just to be safe. Okay, so you've had your spooky chat with the spirits, you've resisted the urge to ask about your inevitable demise, and you've been on your best behavior. You're basically a Ouija board pro at this point. But before you pack up and go about your day, there's one crucial rule you absolutely cannot forget. Always, and I mean always, say goodbye. Think of it like this. Saying goodbye and moving the planchette to goodbye is like closing the door on a creepy stranger who's been lurking outside your window. It's a way of firmly and politely telling the spirits, okay, show's over, folks. Time to go back to wherever you came from. It might seem like a small thing, but trust me, it's super important. You don't want to leave the door open for any unwanted guests to just waltz right in, do you? Forgetting to say goodbye is like leaving your front door wide open all night. Sure, nothing might happen, but do you really want to risk it? Remember those spirits we've been talking about? The ones who are drawn to Ouija boards like moths to a flame? Well, if you don't properly close the session, you're basically giving them an open invitation to hang out in your house. And trust me, you do not want these spirits as roommates. They're messy, they don't pay rent, and they have a tendency to possess people. So what happens when you leave the door open for these spiritual squatters? Well, let's just say it's not going to be pretty. You might experience weird noises, objects moving on their own, or even see shadows lurking in the corners of your eyes. And that's just the beginning. Some people report feeling like they're being watched, having nightmares, or even feeling physically ill after forgetting to say goodbye. So yeah, maybe just take the extra few seconds to wrap things up properly. It's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, so you're done with your Ouija board. You've summoned enough existential dread for one lifetime, and you're ready to retire your talking board to the depths of your closet. Or maybe you're thinking, hey, fire solves everything, right? Wrong. Burning a Ouija board is like trying to get rid of your ex's stuff by setting it on fire in their driveway. It's messy, dramatic, and it probably won't end well. First of all, you're dealing with spirits here, not your old yearbooks. These things feed off energy and fire. That's like a 5-star buffet for spooky entities. Plus, stories abound about boards screaming as they burn, resisting the flames, or even, and this is my personal favorite, reappearing in the house later. Like, imagine coming home from a long day, expecting a chill night in, only to find your burnt Ouija board casually chilling on your coffee table. So, how do you ditch a Ouija board without unleashing a supernatural house fire? Well, some say you should bury it at a crossroads, you know, where Robert Johnson allegedly sold his soul to the devil. Others suggest smashing it into a million pieces and scattering them to the wind. Honestly, I'm not sure what the right answer is. Maybe you could try selling it on eBay? Just be sure to mention in the description that it might be haunted. You know, for legal purposes. But whatever you do, don't come crying to me if you burn your Ouija board and end up with a demonic roommate. I warned you. Okay, listen, I get it. Ouija boards can be expensive and you might be tempted to make your own. Or maybe you found one at a thrift store that looks like it's been through a wood chipper. Either way, using a broken or homemade Ouija board is like trying to perform surgery with a rusty spork. It's a bad idea. See, these boards are like spiritual iPhones. They need to be built just right to function correctly. A cracked planchette or a wonky board might not just give you bad vibes, it could open unstable connections to, let's just say, the wrong side of the spiritual tracks. And homemade boards? Those are like neon signs to mischievous entities that read, "Come on in, the crazy's calling." Look, I'm all for crafting, but when it comes to ouija boards, leave it to the professionals, or at least the people who know what they're doing. Think of it this way. You wouldn't trust a dentist who learned how to pull teeth from YouTube, would you? So if you're serious about contacting spirits, invest in a proper board, or better yet, just watch Ghost Adventures like the rest of us. It's way safer, and you can always turn off the TV if things get too creepy. Alright kids, let's talk about feelings. Yeah, I know, it's about as fun as a root canal, but it's important. See, using a Ouija board when you're emotionally vulnerable is like going swimming with sharks during a feeding frenzy. You're basically asking for trouble. Spirits are drawn to unstable energy like moths to a flame, and when you're feeling down, you're basically a walking, talking beacon of sadness. They can sense your weakness and use it against you, like that friend who always wants to borrow money when they know you're broke. So, if you're going through a bad breakup, you're stressed out of your mind, or you're just feeling emotionally fragile, put the Ouija board down and step away from the seance table. Trust me, the spirit world can wait. Instead, treat yourself to some self-care. Take a long bath, binge watch your favorite show, eat an entire pizza by yourself. Whatever makes you feel good. Remember, you can't commune with the dead if you're an emotional wreck. Get your head right, and then maybe, just maybe, you can think about messing with the paranormal. Okay, so you're sitting there, right? Lights are dim, maybe you've got a couple of candles because ambiance. You're asking your questions, being all polite like you learned from the last 8 rules, and then, BAM! The planchette just yeets itself across the room. Not cool, ghosts, not cool. It's basically like a little kid throwing a tantrum because they didn't get their way. Except in this case, the tantrum could mean a really, really bad time for you and your friends. So if that little planchette decides to go rogue, maybe just, I don't know, end the session. Like, politely tell whatever is there to go back to the spirit realm and order a pizza or something. Think of the Ouija board like a really intense game of truth or dare, except you're playing with things that go bump in the night. And just like any good game, there are rules. The board itself is kind of like a safe space. Yeah, I know safe space and talking to ghosts don't usually go together, but work with me here. So when the planchette stays on the board, everyone's playing by the rules. But the second it flies off, that's like a big neon sign flashing, danger, danger. It means whatever you're talking to is trying to break free. And trust me, you do not want to see what happens when they get loose. It's probably not going to be cute like Casper the Friendly Ghost showing up with snacks. Okay, I get it. You're talking to a ghost. That's like the coolest thing ever. And naturally, you're going to be a little curious about what they look like, right? Are they glowy? Do they wear clothes? Is it your dead grandma? But here's the thing. Asking a spirit to show itself is basically like inviting a stranger you met on the internet to your house at 3 a.m. It sounds like a good idea after like 6 tequila shots. But trust me, it's not going to end well. Because let's be real, most ghosts in movies are not exactly winning any beauty contests. They're usually all creepy and pale and covered in cobwebs. And that's the best case scenario. Look, I'm all for a good scare as much as the next person. But there's a difference between watching The Conjuring with a bowl of popcorn and actually having your house become the next set for a paranormal investigation show. Asking a spirit to show itself is like crossing a line you can't uncross. It can open up a whole can of worms, and trust me, you do not want to deal with those worms. You might think you're ready for a full-on ghost encounter, but are you really? Are you prepared for your furniture to start flying around, your lights to flicker like crazy, And weird smells to permeate every inch of your house? Probably not. So let's just keep it to chatting through the Ouija board, okay? Think of it like ghost texting. It's safer that way. So you've contacted Aunt Mildred on the other side, and she's giving you stock tips, lottery numbers, and telling you that you were totally adopted? Hold your horses, Scooby-Doo, because ghosts are kinda like that friend who embellishes every story. They love a good drama, and sometimes they straight up lie. It's like they have nothing better to do in the afterlife than mess with us mortals. Rude. And here's the thing, ghosts were people once too. And people, well, we can be real jerks sometimes, even after we're dead. Look, I'm not saying that every spirit you encounter is going to be out to get you or tell you tall tales, but it's always best to take things with a grain of salt, you know? Just like you wouldn't trust everything you read on the internet. Except for this video, obviously. You shouldn't blindly believe everything a spirit tells you. Use your head, people. Do a little fact-checking. Did Aunt Mildred even know how to play the lottery? Was your mom secretly a wombat? These are important things to consider. Remember, just because something seems spooky and mysterious doesn't mean it's true. Sometimes the scariest thing about a Ouija board is our own imaginations. Okay, so this one might seem obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people think it's a good idea to bring a Ouija board to a haunted house. It's like bringing a boombox to a library and blasting Nickelback. Just wildly inappropriate. Haunted houses are like the club for ghosts, right? They're already vibing with paranormal activity, and the last thing you want to do is crash their party with a Ouija board. It's like trying to get a word in edgewise at a rave that's already off the chain. You're just asking for trouble, and not the fun kind that involves tequila shots and bad decisions. Trust me, if you're looking for a good time, stick to karaoke night. If you want to avoid a ghostly eviction notice, leave the Ouija board at home when you visit spooky places. Think of it this way. Haunted houses already have a ton of spiritual energy swirling around, like a paranormal smoothie of bad vibes. When you use a Ouija board there, it's like dumping a whole bag of sugar into that smoothie. It's gonna get real intense, real fast, and not in a good way, unless you're really into things that go bump in the night and whisper your name while you're trying to sleep. So unless you're training to be the next Ghostbuster, I highly recommend avoiding Ouija boards in haunted houses. Your sanity, and probably your sleep schedule, will thank you. Alright, listen up, buttercups. Using a Ouija board without protection is like, I don't know, going swimming with sharks in a meat suit. You're basically asking for trouble. We're talking spiritual protection here, people. Think of it like spiritual sunscreen. You wouldn't go sunbathing in the Bahamas without SPF 50, would you? Well, the spirit world is way more intense than a little sunburn. We're talking potential possession, demonic attachments, the whole 9 yards. So before you even think about touching that planchette, you gotta suit up in some spiritual armor. There are a bunch of ways to protect yourself, and no, your lucky rabbit's foot doesn't count. First up, prayers. I know, sounds boring, but trust me, it works. Think of it like calling your spiritual backup. Light some white candles too. They're like the bouncers of the spiritual world, keeping the negative vibes at bay. And don't forget the salt. Sprinkle that stuff around like confetti. It's like a force field against anything creepy-crawly that wants to ruin your day. Remember, we're going for a chill seance here, not a scene straight out of The Exorcist. And there you have it, my spooky friends. 13 Ouija board rules that you should never, ever break unless you want to risk a ghostly house guest or a one-way ticket to Possessionville. Remember, safety first, even when you're dabbling in the spirit world. And if you do decide to use a Ouija board, please, for the love of all that is holy, take precautions. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel for more spooky content. And if you're feeling extra brave, check out my story Percy Jackson the God of Darkness and Kid Icarus on Wattpad, Shadow Queen 667. It my most popular book, Sweet Dreams.